Kate, please, and friends.
I'll speak in Vicky first. Because we're moving first, and then I'll swap out with those guys.
Yeah, maybe shuffle this. Yeah.
All good? The floor is entirely yours.
Kia ora mai tātou. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to our submission. Before we get into it, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. So we're from the Christchurch Youth Council, a youth-led organisation of 25 rangatahi volunteers aged 12 to 24 who advocate for youth voice through surveying, submission writing and running events. Our goal is to have young people be represented in as many avenues as possible. Everything that we do is guided by our kaupapa points, which are to strengthen youth voice, encourage active citizenship, create inclusive spaces for young people, build relationships and uplift diversity amongst youth. Also, I just want to say that we would love to work with you more on our Memorandum of Understanding with CCC. Anyway, kia ora, my name is Whatuariki. I'm the Deputy Chair of the Christchurch Youth Council, and I'm also joined here today by...
Hi, I'm Ashwini Rajesh. I'm the Secretary of Christchurch Youth Council.
I'm Beth. I'm the Communications Officer of CYC. My role is in engagement and submissions, so hopefully we'll be in touch more in the future.
My name's Vicky and I'm lucky enough to be the chairperson of CYC this year.
I'm Tom and I'm an executive member.
I'm Lucas and I'm a general member.
Awesome. So continued funding for CYC is really essential in order for us to be able to keep doing the work we're doing, but also expand the work we're doing. So the work we do, we enable young people to participate in civic engagement, leadership training, and also community initiatives that create safe spaces for young people. We urge the council to commit to long-term financial support for youth engagement programs and strengthen partnerships with youth-led organisations. As we know, those aged 18 to 24 we have the lowest voter turnout rates and also lowest survey responses in council submissions. So one of the main responsibilities of CYC is to gauge youth perspective on issues of local and national significance. So along with our social media presence, one way we do this is with the Youth Takeover Survey, which Tom will now talk about.
The Youth Takeover Survey is an annual initiative that allows the Christchurch Youth Council to capture and amplify the voices of young people from across the city. Conducted in collaboration with Youth Voice Canterbury, the survey is an extremely valuable tool to understand the perspectives and shifting views of young people on topics of local and regional importance. Our most recent Youth Takeover Survey, conducted in January to April this year, has indicated that wellbeing and mental health is front of mind for young people today. This is followed by the need for accessible and reliable public transportation systems, scoping for a CBD shuttle, broader action on climate resilience, as well as increased funding for youth engagement to empower young decision making. Christchurch Youth Council's submission is based on initial results from the 2025 Youth Takeover Survey, as well as the summaries from the 2024 survey, and the responses of rangatahi from across the wider Christchurch area. We will be reviewing and summarising the 2025 survey in the next month, and then results will be available for councillors and CCC staff.
Affordable and accessible transport is essential for young people to get to school, work and social opportunities. Many of us rely on buses every day, and while current youth fares are good, any increases would make public transport harder to afford, especially with the cost of living and low youth incomes. Keeping fares low supports independence and access as well. We also want to see improved safety on public transport. Many young people feel unsafe, which puts them off from using it, and better safety measures would encourage confident and consistent use. Improving walking and cycling infrastructure is also important, as many young people travel this way every single day. We support more investment to make active transport safer and more accessible. We also support the Council's proposal to explore a central city shuttle. This would help young people move safely and affordably, and youth input should be central to its design. Lastly, we'd like to see better bus routes to the new youth hub. It's a vital space for youth wellbeing, but hard to reach at this current time without reliable transport.
We strongly support continued investment in climate adaptation, sustainable infrastructure and the Climate Resilience Fund. Over the past few years, our youth takeover survey results have consistently shown that climate change is one of the biggest concerns for young people. To strengthen the Council's climate commitments, we encourage youth involvement in climate initiatives and representation on the Climate Resilience Fund Allocation Board, expanding green spaces and urban biodiversity projects, investment in renewable energy and waste reduction initiatives, and tangata whenua representation, and prioritising the red zone for rewilding and native planting. Giving young people agency through decision-making power, opportunities to take action, and funding to lead initiatives means climate action that will be intergenerational, inclusive, and future-focused.
As seen in our youth takeover, there's been quite a strong desire for maintenance of funding and enhancement of community spaces like our libraries, our pools, and our recreational facilities. Because these provide a safe space for youth. We ask that there be some looking into tūranga for longer hours, as this provides a safe study space for after school, increased investment in the youth hub for how its potential and how so far it's been able to bring youth together. Youth spaces, we would ask that they are continued to be considered in urban planning. These spaces are crucial for giving youth a place that they feel safe, ensuring better mental health, and places that they can belong and feel and find enjoyment in that they might not be able to find in school or home. We also ask that there is some increasement to funding for youth mental health, investing in these spaces and services designed for young people benefits the entire community, making Christchurch more vibrant and connected and supported for future generations.
So the safety and well-being of young people must remain a priority. We support policies that create a safer and healthier city. For example, stronger measures to address alcohol-related harm, which was in relation to our local alcohol policy submission. So this could look like accessible public transport late at night, and also education for bar staff around nightlife dangers. Another one of our ideas was investment in youth-focused mental health support services, such as the Christchurch Youth Hub, and also other outreach programs, as our youth takeover survey consistently shows high numbers of rangatahi feel this is a major issue. Ensuring public spaces are safe and inclusive for all members of the community, which can look like increased youth worker presence, for example, in the Christchurch bus interchange, as well as support for unhoused individuals, as our surveys always reflect a very high number of young people feel cost of living is a major issue.
As we explained in our submission, we are aware of the financial pressures facing the council and the difficulty that comes into this when looking at rates increases. However, rates increases need to be balanced when looking at the rising cost of living. Though you may not think of young people as the ones who pay rates affect almost all rangatahi, either directly or indirectly. There are many young people who are renting, who are students, and who don't have very high incomes but lots of expenses. And there are also young people who come from households whose families feel the strain of the rising cost of living. We hope the council will help support affordability by doing things like prioritising funding for essential youth services in public spaces, and prioritising affordable public transport and public transport subsidies, and through actions like providing transparency around how rates contribute to services that impact young people. We must also acknowledge the realities of council debt and the relationship between financial decisions made today and their impact on future generations. As young people, we will be the ones who will be most affected by these long-term financial commitments, and so our voices are important now when decisions are being made to ensure that Christchurch remains an affordable, accessible, and future-focused city for generations to come.
To conclude, it is vital that CCC's annual plan ensures that young people have a meaningful voice in shaping the future of Ōtautahi. This can be achieved by young people receiving support to contribute to these conversations via platforms like the Youth Hub and CYC. Please increase our funding. Young people also need to be able to access these platforms physically through safe, sustainable, well-connected public transport, as well as financially. Rates increases need to be balanced with making the cost of living more affordable or expanding on current recreational facilities, for example, extending library open hours. Sustainability-wise, youth should be actively involved in the Climate Resilience Fund, and alternative revenue streams should be explored to reduce long-term debt, so that when our generation becomes the leaders of today, we can reach our full potential for this city. Thank you for your time this afternoon and ongoing support. We really appreciate the opportunity to to provide the submission, and we're keen to work together in the future with you to create a city where young people can thrive. And of course, if young people are thriving, that is usually a pretty good indicator that everyone else will too. Do you guys have any any questions for us?
Right. You did all that on one breath. You're doing a lovely job. Kelly, please.
Thank you. Look, guys, thanks for having the courage and the interest to come in and talk to us. You know, it's a big step when you're a young person to come into the crucible, you know, and put your opinions across. I love the fact that you, you know, talk about shifting views of young people. And, you know, when I think of my own life and the biggest impact that changed my view of young people, and I have children probably a bit older than you guys, was the student volunteer army during the earthquakes. I think they transformed basically the way a lot of people saw young people after those earthquakes, because they imagined students as not being interested so much in that sort of volunteering. My question to you guys is there anything that you can find to volunteer for, or to be involved with, to contribute to the city to help change those perceptions that people have? Got any thoughts?
So do you mean like things we're doing to like help, like for example, with the student volunteer army, that sort of like
Anything
work,
like that? Any initiatives?
Yeah.
that?
Well, one of the projects we're doing right now is a shoe drive. So Tom is the group project leader for that. But we've contacted high schools around. We've contacted high schools around Christchurch, and also there's high schools who are going to be doing stuff within their schools to be able to donate shoes, and we have a list of lower decile schools who are in need of shoes. So we're going to distribute those shoes.
That's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Those are the sort of things you can hang your hat on, and you know, and show your involvement and change perception. So, well done, congratulations. Thank you.
Tyler, please. No, I won't have time for your one, Yanni. Tyler.
Kia ora koutou. I got some really quick ones for you. Hopefully the meal will let us have some buffer time. But the first one is the feeling of safety in the bus exchanges. Could you talk to us about your experience in those bus exchanges, and maybe elaborate a little bit more about what would make you feel safer in those bus exchanges and on the buses?
I think a lot of people have mixed experiences in bus exchanges. They're very important for us because, as we've said, we really rely on public transport. Most people need it. Most people go to it at least once a week, probably more. But there kind of seem to be a lot of issues with the security guards and their conduct. And I think one thing that a lot of young people have talked about is wanting youth workers in that space, wanting more spaces like the Igloo, which is a great space, but it does close kind of before the hours where most people tend to feel more unsafe when they're in that space. And just in town in general, it's often just issues that are in general, just also in the bus exchange. So we love
Awesome.
youth workers.
Thank you so much. I don't want to rush security guards in public, but that's one of the things that I've heard too, particularly around vaping and whatnot. The next one is around student rates at pools. Now, we've had UCSA come through and say that they'd love a student rate at a pool at around $5 per visit. What does that sound like to you guys? I know there's high school rates. Some of you may be in university and some of you may be in high school. What do you think about it?
That's pretty good.
Cool. The next one, last one is around...
Hang on.
It's my portfolio, you know.
You've been learning off the master.
Tony Yanni.
Okay. Now I feel guilty and have to let him speak. Tim, then Yanni.
Whilst I try not to think of Kelly's life and things, a lot of your concerns and your questions were over transport. So I'm just wondering, have you talked to ECAN about and presented to ECAN about those? Because it does seem to me that they're more worried about the future of AI, which is not their core business, but and left kind of transport out. So I'm just asking. So, and what was their reaction?
Worried about salary and jobs.
Yes.
We have done a little bit of collaboration, especially with the ECAN Youth Dropper, which is ECAN's youth group over there. We have submitted to the CCC ECAN panel on the changes that are happening to the public transport system, but in regard to that one, we haven't submitted to them yet.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
And Yanni.
Cool. Thank you. Just a question on, and thank you for the work that you've done and the extensive submission. Really cool to hear your views. Just in regards to the Central City Shuttle, when we've looked at it before, one of the other ideas that people have put forward is free within the 4AVs. So you could get on any bus within the 4AVs and travel within the 4AVs for free. I was just curious if you guys had a view on that compared to like the Central City Shuttle.
Just bouncing off what we heard from the Youth Takeover Survey, which is our survey that we do once a year, young people said that was really beneficial to be able to easily get around the city just in general. So that idea could be really beneficial, particularly where there's quite a distance between bus connections. So having that option of sort of like just free buses in the centre city to get you from Morehouse over to Beeley might be really beneficial for young people.
Okay, thank you very much. That's good. Spot on. And thank you so much, all of you, for making the effort to come in. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we have Carl, Pam, and Lionel. And Lionel's, there's Carl. Yep.